Today, I've compiled the most significant scores, victories, and defeats in football history from a single match. I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy watching. 149-0. Yes, you heard it right. This is the most lopsided score ever seen in a professional football match. On October 31, 2002, the Adima de Lamerne game in the Madagascar League entered the Guinness World Records. The truth is, this is a tale of determination. Believing they had lost the championship due to erroneous referee decisions 2 weeks earlier, de Lamerne aimed to protest this situation by continuously scoring own goals from the beginning to the end of the match. The de Lamerne team, whose goal was to make their protest heard worldwide, achieved this by scoring an own goal approximately every 36 seconds. What can we say? Hats off to the brave de Lamerne. Congratulations on your determination. Let's move on to another record, and this time, there's no scoring in one's own goal involved. In the 2002 World Cup Oceania qualifiers, the Australian national team, hosting American Samoa, set a remarkable record in recent history by scoring a whopping 31 goals. Playing with a predominantly reserve squad, Australian forward Archie Thompson made history by scoring 13 goals in the match. It seems that the score was already 20-0 by the 56th minute of the game. One would think that after that minute, a sense of conscience would kick in, and they would take it easy. But no, they went on to score 11 more goals after the 56th minute. It remains unknown why they went so hard against American Samoa, a tiny tropical island with a population of 55,000. In football history, there are a few more matches that ended with over 20 goal differences. However, all of these either took place in lower leagues or in locations not recognized as football countries. For example, a match between Vanuatu and Micronesia, probably names you've never heard before, ended 46-0. But if you wish, let's continue this content with the most significant victories and defeats of European giants. Some people believe that increasing the lead, especially after the 5th or 6th goal, is considered disrespectful or unethical. Others think that, even when in a position to score more goals, not attacking is a greater disrespect to the opponent and fans. Feel free to share your views on this matter in the comments. If you're already enjoying this content, buckle up, because the best league in the world is about to begin. We don't need to go too far back in Premier League history to find two notable matches. One stands out in October 2019 when Southampton suffered a disastrous defeat at home against Leicester City. Facing their opponent with a numerical disadvantage from the 12th minute, Ios Perez and Jamie Vardy each scored 3 goals, leading Leicester City to a resounding 9-0 victory. However, Southampton's ordeal was far from over. Approximately 15 months later, in February 2021, when Manchester United hosted Southampton at Old Trafford, one would wish to say the fans at the stadium were treated to a goal fest. Unfortunately, the match was one of those played without spectators due to the pandemic. This time, Southampton found themselves down to 10 men as early as the 2nd minute and failed to show any resistance. By the 85th minute, the score was 7-0. And at that moment, another Southampton player was sent off, reducing them to 9 men. United seized the opportunity, scoring 2 more goals and etching their names into history. The Red Devils, with goals from 7 different players, left the field with a 9-0 victory. Interestingly, despite conceding 9 goals in these 2 different matches, Southampton's manager, Ralph Hasenhüttl, remained in charge for an extended period. Let's move on to the Italian League. Our examination here is relatively brief because Italians tend to be a bit more considerate in this regard. The most lopsided score we've seen is 7-0, and this result has occurred in various matches. One recent example, played without spectators due to the pandemic, is Milan's 7-0 victory over Torino in an away match. In the match where Milan showered goals on their opponent, Croatian striker Ante Rebic starred by scoring a hat-trick. We will encounter a few more examples shortly. It can be concluded that teams tend to lose their resistance more quickly in matches played without spectators. We're leaving Italy and heading to La Liga in Spain. One of the most goal-laden and one-sided victories in recent history occurred in December 2015 when Real Madrid, under the management of Rafael Benitez, demolished Rayo Vallecano 10-2 at home. Despite Rayo taking a 2-1 lead in the 12th minute, they found themselves with only 9 players on the field after receiving 2 red cards in the 14th and 29th minutes, and the show began. The famous BBC trio was once again at the forefront, with Gareth Bale scoring 4 and Benzema contributing 3 goals. Ronaldo, who was slightly off form that day, added 2 goals, and the match ended with a 10-2 victory for Real Madrid. Moving on to the Bundesliga, the German league, we find some of the most lopsided victories in recent years attributed to the ruthless Bayern Munich, as you might expect. The latest example is the match against Darmstadt in October 2023, which ended 8-0. What makes this match interesting is the absence of goals in the first half. Bayern went down to 10 men in the 4th minute, and Darmstadt, receiving 2 red cards in the 21st and 41st minutes, completed the first half with 9 players. As expected, Bayern unleashed a goal spree in the second half. Harry Kane scored 3, Leroy Sane and Musiala each scored 2, and Muller added 1 goal, concluding the match 8-0. Another match worth mentioning is the one in September 2020 against Schalke, also ending 8-0. Again, it was a match without spectators, and in Bayern, Gnabry, who scored a hat-trick, left his mark. Schalke was relegated at the end of this nightmare season. Now, who do you think has equaled Bayern Munich's Bundesliga record? Of course, it's Bayern Munich. Another match involved Hamburg, who suffered an 8-0 defeat twice, in 2015 and 2017, 2 years apart. Besides the 8-0 scoreline, Bayern Munich also holds the record for the most significant margin of victory in the Bundesliga. In March 2013, they defeated Hamburg 9-2. I don't know what Hamburg did to deserve such torment from Bayern, but they could only escape this ordeal by being relegated. When we glance at Ligue 1, it's no surprise that the most lopsided score is associated with Paris Saint-Germain. In January 2019, in a match where the trio of Mbappé, Neymar, and Cavani left their mark, Paris hosted Guingamp and made history with a significant victory. With Mbappé and Cavani both scoring hat-tricks, PSG won the match 9-0. The record for the Eredivisie, the Dutch league, was recently broken, and again, it happened in a match without spectators. In October 2020, Ajax achieved the most lopsided victory in Dutch history by scoring a whopping 13 goals in an away match against Venlo. In this game, Traoré, who scored 5 goals and provided 3 assists, might seem to have finished the season in a strong position for the Golden Boot race. However, the striker ended the season with only 7 goals. This showcases the dominance of top teams in their respective leagues, creating memorable moments in football history. For a considerable period, the record for the most lopsided defeat in the Champions League belonged to Liverpool. However, in December 2015, Swedish club Malmö shared that record with an 8-0 loss to Real Madrid in an away match. The surprising part is that the goal that made it 8-0 was scored in the 74th minute. Real Madrid had been scoring a goal roughly every 9 minutes until then but refrained from attacking in the remaining 16 minutes. Interestingly, there's only a 12-day gap between this match and the previously mentioned Rayo Vallecano game. Even more intriguing is that Rafa Benitez, who was the coach of Real Madrid at that time, lost his job just 15 days later. It gives an idea of how high the standards are at Real Madrid during the era of absolute competition. When we list the highest scoring matches in the Champions League, the 8-4 clash between Borussia Dortmund and Legia Warsaw in November 2016 stands out. Thomas Tuchel, whom we are more familiar with today, was in charge of Dortmund. The brave Polish representative Legia, without worrying about how many goals they conceded, managed to score as many as they could, contributing to the beauty of the match. It wouldn't be wrong to say that the year 2008 was a turning point for Manchester City, currently dominating the Premier League. Before being sold to new owners, Manchester's Blues were considered an elevator team in the Premier League. In that season, facing Middlesbrough as guests on the final week of the Premier League, City left the field with an 8-1 victory, closing one chapter and opening a new era for themselves. In another match played without spectators under the effects of the pandemic, an unexpected result emerged. In the 4th week of the Premier League in October 2020, Liverpool, visiting Aston Villa, suffered the heaviest defeat in the club's history, losing 7-2 at Villa Park. The match, where Ollie Watkins shone with 3 goals and Jack Grealish contributed 2 goals and 3 assists, seemed to signal a challenging season for Liverpool. While the Old Trafford audience might not be pleased with what they are currently witnessing, during the Alex Ferguson era, they rarely left there unhappy. Although their biggest historical rival is Liverpool, in those times when clubs like Chelsea and City were gradually becoming major players. Undoubtedly, Arsene Wenger's Arsenal was Manchester United's fiercest competitor. In August 2011, in the 3rd week of the season, an Arsenal not looking well prepared for the season faced a well-oiled Manchester United. In a match where Wayne Rooney scored a hat-trick, Manchester United overwhelmed their opponent, securing a shocking 8-2 victory at the Theatre of Dreams, handing their opponent the heaviest defeat in their history. Now, let's take a look at some different scorelines in World Cup matches at the national team level shortly. But before that, we shouldn't overlook France's 14-0 victory against Gibraltar on November 18, 2023. Despite talking about the ruthlessness of the Germans, this match, for me, epitomizes the embodiment of cruelty in football. We witness another example of how ruthless the Germans can be, this time at the national team level. In recent World Cups, Germany has left their mark on the two most significant victories with substantial goal differences. The first one dates back to the 2002 World Cup. In the group stage, facing Saudi Arabia, considered one of the weakest teams on paper in that tournament, Germany showcased their lack of mercy once again, winning 8-0. Miroslav Klose, who completed the match with 5 goals, can be credited for becoming the all-time leading goal scorer in World Cup history, largely due to this game. While you might argue that scoring 8 against Saudi Arabia is easy, the 7-1 victory they achieved against the host Brazil in the 2014 World Cup semifinal, culminating in their championship, became the heaviest defeat and a national disgrace in the history of the 5-time world champions. Lastly, in a match during the Euro 2008 qualifiers against San Marino, Germany's national team set a record by achieving a significant goal difference. 7 different German players scored, and the match ended 13-0. If we talk about both Bayern and the German national team, it seems we need to accept that these results are not coincidental. The Germans continue to execute their tasks with full intensity regardless of the opponent's situation. No relaxation, no complacency, and certainly no mercy. They show no emotions when executing their game plan. Just like Bayern did in August 2020 when they seemingly showed mercy to Barcelona in a match played without spectators. I mentioned earlier about teams easily resolving and lacking resistance under pandemic conditions. However, Barcelona chose the wrong opponent to unravel against that evening. In a single-match Champions League quarter-final, Bayern Munich displayed a team that made their opponent literally helpless. The match ended 8-2, but it could have been an even more significant difference. This score not only became Barcelona's most painful defeat in recent history but also marked one of the events that initiated Lionel Messi's departure process from the club.